You're standing in the Great Hall while your wife is led away by the most powerful man alive, and you can't do anything. You can't speak. You can't move. Your tongue feels like stone in your mouth. Around you, 60 other nobles sit frozen on carved ivory benches, their cups shaking just enough to clink against their teeth. Some are silently praying she comes back untouched. You're praying she comes back at all, and that whatever she says in that small chamber behind the throne doesn't get both of you killed before dawn. The torches burn low. The air smells like spiced wine and fear. The emperor doesn't look back when he takes her hand. He doesn't have to. Everyone is already watching. 20 minutes pass like 20 years. Your heart beats so loud you're sure someone can hear it. You stare at the curtain she vanished behind until your eyes sting. Your fingers are dug so hard into your own thigh you've broken skin, but you barely feel it. When he finally returns, he's laughing. He doesn't just bring her back and let her slip silently to your side. He calls for more wine. He sits down next to you, close enough that you can smell the expensive oils in his hair, and he begins, slowly, calmly, almost cheerfully, to describe in precise, clinical detail everything that just happened in that room. Your wife's eyes are empty. He's looking at the floor as if it could open and swallow her. Your colleagues stare at their plates. Some stare at the ceiling. No one is looking at you, because if they do, if they allow themselves even a moment of human sympathy, they might break, and if they break, they die. You feel your face twisting, but you force it into the shape he expects. You smile, you nod at the jokes. You manage to push out a horse. Your Majesty is too kind, because the alternative is watching your children dragged out tomorrow and used as an example. This isn't a moment of madness. This is a structure, a process. You're not just watching cruelty, you're watching a system do exactly what it was built to do. Grind down the human soul until there is nothing left but obedience, and the man behind it didn't wake up one morning as a monster. He was constructed, layer by layer, by the same machine he now controls. His name is Aurelian, called the Radiant Lord in the official proclamations, and the quiet knife, in whispers no one dares put into writing. What he did to the empire of is so calculated, so cold, that centuries later scholars still argue about the same question. Was he insane, or did he understand human beings better than anyone before or since? If you believe the darkest designs of power should be remembered, not because they're entertaining, but because they are warnings, then stay with me, because what you're about to hear isn't legend. It isn't a ghost story. It's a blueprint. And the most terrifying thing isn't what he did while he was alive. It's that the structure he built kept working after he was gone. Before we break down the 5 layers of his control machine, you need to know where he came from. Aurelian wasn't born in a palace. He was born in a war camp. Imagine a boy of 6 or 7, running through rows of tents, his bare feet slapping dust, wearing a miniature uniform, little leather breastplate, tiny brass studs, a red cloak that drags in the dirt. Hardened soldiers, men who spent their lives breaking other men, stop what they're doing to laugh and clap and hoist him up on their shoulders. They call him Little Son because he's the son of General Solon, the man everyone believes will be the next emperor. The troops, Solon is more than a leader, he's a living legend. He wins every campaign. He shares their rations. He remembers their names. When he rides into battle with the boy on a pony beside him, they swear they feel invincible. So the boy grows up believing he's untouchable, loved, protected, blessed. No one tells him that legends are dangerous. No one tells him about the old law that says any general more beloved than the emperor is a threat. One autumn, the victories stop. The army is recalled. The banners come home. The city holds a triumph. Gold thrown from windows, flowers crushed under chariot wheels, crowds chanting the general's name so loudly the marble shakes. The emperor smiles from his balcony. He raises the general's hand high. That night, while the torches still smolder on the procession route, the general's food is poisoned. The official proclamation says fever of the blood. The whispered story says there was paid 2 years' wages by a man from the palace ministry. The 7-year-old boy watches his father's body carried past, wrapped in imperial purple and he understands on some wordless level that something is wrong, but no one explains. They tell him to bow, to flatter, to say he is grateful for the emperor's mercy. 2 months later, his mother is arrested. Charges are vague, whispering against the throne. One dawn he wakes to shouting and metal on stone. Palace guards tear through their villa, smashing statues, tearing tapestries, pushing his mother to her knees in the courtyard. She has just enough time to scream his name before someone hits her in the back of the head with the butt of a spear. She drops, bleeding but alive. They bind her and drag her away. Boy lunges forward and a soldier catches him around the chest. "Don't, little son," the man whispers, voice breaking. "Don't talk, don't move." He doesn't see her again. His eldest brother is taken next, accused of conspiracy. He vanishes into the black cellars beneath the city. Months later, a guard who once served under their father smuggles a message out. The boy's brother, starved and delirious, has started chewing the straw of his mattress to keep from screaming. Second brother is exiled to a prison island ringed with jagged rocks and restless water. The guards, they have a reputation. They don't just confine, they experiment. The story that reaches the capital says he finally broke his own skull on the stone wall of his cell rather than endure another day. One by one, everyone who shares the boy's bloodline is erased. On paper, it looks like justice. In reality, it's pruning. By the time Aurelian is 15, he is the last surviving. Then comes the summons. The emperor, old, suspicious, half-deaf, half-mad, invites him to the Sky Citadel, the fortress palace that crowns the cliff above the city, surrounded on 3 sides by storm sea and on the 4th by walls so thick they might as well be another ocean. Officially, Aurelian is being a ward of the emperor, a sign of reconciliation. Everyone understands the truth. The old man wants his last rival's son where he can see him, wants him under his thumb. Wants him where any mistake, any glance, any sigh that sounds too much like defiance can be punished instantly. The Sky Citadel, according to the imperial records, is the center of the civilized world. According to the private letters of the people who lived there and survived, it's a laboratory of cruelty. The emperor surrounds himself with astrologers, poisoners, flattery-drunk poets, and informers. He invents new punishments when he's bored. He forces servants to drown puppies in front of him to prove their loyalty. He has entire kitchens flogged because his soup was tepid. Every corridor listens. Every wall has ears. Guards report on other guards. Servants spy on lords. Everyone spies on Aurelian too, because they know the old man is watching for any hint that the little son might still burn. Aurelian knows the emperor murdered his family. So does everyone else. But if he shows it, if his eyes harden at the wrong story, if his breath catches when someone mentions his father's campaigns, that's enough. There's a balcony 3 stories high for people who disappoint the emperor once. There's a cliff for people who disappoint him twice. So Aurelian does the only thing that keeps him alive. He becomes the perfect mirror. Chronicler who served in the Citadel kitchens writes something that gives us chills even today. There was never a better slave, nor a worse master. Aurelian laughs at the emperor's jokes. He cries on cue when the old man talks about betrayals. He claps when prisoners are thrown from the balcony as if he's enjoying the show. He never mentions his mother. He never asks about his brothers. He plays dice with the guards. Arms the poisoners. He sits with the astrologers until dawn, pretending to believe that the stars love the emperor. Slowly, the old man grows fond of him, calls him my careful boy, trusts him, tests him, includes him in private tortures to toughen him, and Aurelian learns. He watches how the emperor breaks people, who he executes quickly, who he keeps half alive, who he humiliates in public, who he destroys in private. He learns that fear is a craft, not a mood. You can change the shape of a person's mind by applying pressure in the right place for long enough. For 6 years, he studies this like other young men study swordplay or law. When the emperor finally dies, some say in his sleep, others whisper Aurelian's hand was on the pillow. There's no clear air, cousins, nephews, generals all circle. The Senate panics. The city holds its breath, and then, almost effortlessly, everyone agrees. The dead general's surviving son, the polite, steady, harmless boy who's been at the emperor's side for years, that's the safest choice. The army loves his father's memory. The people love the legend of Little Son. The priests love his piety. They think they're crowning stability. What they're actually crowning is a man who spent a decade watching monster techniques and taking notes. For the first months, everything looks perfect. Aurelian cuts a few taxes. He pardons some exiles. He opens the citadel gardens to the public on festival days. People weep in the streets from relief. The dark days are over, they say. We finally have one of us on the throne. Then in the middle of a hot summer, the emperor collapses at a ceremony. Fever, the doctors say. For 3 weeks he lies in a darkened room muttering. The city gathers at the gates to pray. Fly, he's dead, he's possessed, he's cursed. When he emerges, he's thinner. His eyes seem darker. Whatever softness he had is gone. No one knows what visions he saw sweating in that bed. But from that day on, he doesn't just rule, he experiments. What I'm about to walk you through isn't chaos. It isn't random cruelty. It's a design. 5 layers of psychological warfare, each targeting a different piece of what makes human beings capable of resistance. This is the skeleton of his machine. And once you see it, you start to recognize echoes of it in other times, other places. First layer is emotion control, starting with grief. Aurelian has 3 sisters, but one is at the center of his world. Their relationship has always been too close for comfort. Whispers run through the city long before he takes the throne. Servants say they've seen them sitting too close together on winter nights, the same cloak for warmth when there are blankets enough for 10. Poets hint at shared stars and twin hearts in verses everyone understands, but no one names aloud. Whether they are true doesn't matter. What matters is that everyone believes them. Aurelian lets them spread. He feeds them, appears at ceremonies in jewels only empresses have worn before. She sits beside him, not behind. He touches her hair in public. Then, a year after his fever, falls ill. Maybe she's poisoned. Maybe it's an infection. Maybe Aurelian himself orchestrated it as a test of what he could do with loss. The historians disagree. We know only this: she dies. And the Empire's real nightmare begins. Aurelian doesn't grieve privately. He doesn't simply wear black and withdraw. He drags the entire nation into his mourning like people chained to his ankles. He declares a divine being, not metaphorically, not like a goddess, but legally. Senate is forced to pass a decree. By the will of the Radiant Lord, is now divine guardian of hearts. Temples must be consecrated, priests appointed, festivals organized. There are now shrines to the Emperor's dead sister in every district, and people are required to visit them. Then he issues a proclamation that still chills us when we read it carved into stone. For the space of 1 season, joy is treason. For 90 days, laughter in public is forbidden. If you're seen smiling, you can be arrested. Bathhouses are closed, public feasts are, music in taverns is outlawed. It is illegal to get married. It is illegal to host a birthday gathering. It is illegal to eat in groups of more than 3. Families who normally gather with grandparents and cousins now sit in silent clusters of 3 in dark rooms, afraid that if neighbors hear too many voices, they'll report them. Imagine living like that. Your child drops a cup and bursts into giggles because of the sound. You laugh with them like a parent, or do you slap them hard enough to make them cry just to keep them alive? In the outer provinces, farmers who whistle while they work are flogged as blasphemers against divine sorrow. In the city, a baker caught humming an old folk tune while kneading dough is dragged into the street. His tongue is pierced with a metal spike hammered through it as a reminder to keep music inside his head. Aurelian has learned that he can legislate feelings, that he can take his internal world, endless grief, endless rage, and make it everyone's reality. Once he's sure this works, once he sees people policing each other's smiles, he moves to the second layer, identity destruction. He knows from watching his own family die that noble houses don't fear physical pain as much as they fear shame, so he builds a device to turn their greatest pride into their deepest humiliation. Officially, it's called the Service Registry. In reality, it's an imperial brothel woven into the fabric of the state. A new office is created in the palace, the Bureau of Civic Harmony. Its first decree: all noble families must donate 1 son or daughter of marriageable age to serve the empire in the upper galleries of the palace. The documents don't say what service means. The heralds do. They walk through the market.